What up, y'all? It's the Real Ball Watcher. Grab your binoculars, and I'm back. Post-draft. I know it's been a little minute since I made a video since my safety rankings, but the draft is over for the Panthers. I've been streaming all weekend except for today because I was a little busy. So if you see me on the PNP podcast, shout out to you. Shout out to PNP for having me up there. I got to get my analysis off on day 1 and day 2. So go support them, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you're new here, you know what it is. Real Ball Watcher. Y'all know what it is. But the Panthers cooked. Cinema. It's time for y'all to apologize to Dan Morgan, like I did with Dave Canales at earlier this year during the season. It's time for y'all to apologize to Dan Morgan because he cooked. I want to let y'all know over the next couple weeks, I am going to be doing a video on most of the rookies, maybe grouping a couple together. I am going to do specifically a video on Tet and how he fits with Bryce Young and this offense and Dave Canales' offense in general. It'll be kind of surprising, I think, so far. I've been charting it. And like I said, I'll group the other guys together. Maybe Scorton to get his own video, or maybe Princely and Scorton together. But if you do like the video, like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Comment what video you want to see first. If you want to see the Tet video, all that stuff, let me know which one you want to see first and who you specifically want to see a video on. But yeah, let's get into the video. All right, starting with the first round, Tet. This won't be super long-winded because we did a whole eval on him 5-6 months ago. Tet McMillan, 6'4", 219. He is 22 years old. True junior coming out. Stats: 90 catches, 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns his sophomore year. And then this past year, his junior year, 84 catches, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. This is an A+ pick to me. We didn't reach on a edge rusher that made like Jalen Walker, who necessarily isn't a top 10 guy in the class on my board at least. I still like them though. Don't get it twisted. This was the 4th or 3rd best guy in the class on my board at least. So to get him at 8 is great value. It's a steal. I think he has a chance to be a superstar. Really, really good player. We'll talk more about him in the video that's coming up probably sometime this week, maybe next week. Let me know what day y'all want it. I could do it early in the week if y'all want. So let me know in the comments. But A+ pick. Enough said. Let's move on to the next guys. All right, let's get into Nick Scorton. Hey, by the way, new angle. Let me know if y'all bang with it. You got the jerseys in the back a little bit. We'll get all that settled for real soon. But new angle. Let me know if y'all like it, and then we can switch it up or go back to the old one. But Nick Scorton, this was my edge 3. This was a first-round talent to me. He was edge 1 coming into the year for a lot of people, including myself. He has it all: power, finesse, run defense, move set, all of that. He has it. He's only 20 years old. He did play at 285 at A&M. He said he got the 280 and 270s at time last season, but he's much lighter now at 257. So you're probably going to get a lot more explosiveness coming out of that first step and a lot better bend on top of the power and all the other things that he has naturally. This was a first-round guy to me. The only people I had better than him as an edge rusher was Mike Green. Well, Abdul Carter's edge 1, of course, and then Mike Green. Him and Donovan Ezraku was very close, but I had to give him the edge because of the power aspect. He's done cross chops. He's done arm overs. He's done crazy inside and outside spin moves. He's done speed to power where he's bulldozing guys like against Michigan or when he was with Purdue. Just such a good player, and he's still a good run defender also, as he's seen at Texas A&M. He has a pretty good motor, and his motor is probably going to be much better now that he's playing lighter. 55 tackles, 33 solos, 10 sacks in his last season in Purdue. He's only a true junior, as you can see, 20 years old. Then he transferred, goes to A&M. We know what they do there. They kind of kill guys' stats, but 37 tackles, 27 solos, 5 sacks. I want to say he had like 34 or 36 pressures still. Just a really good, like I said, S3 on my board. He's 6'3", 257 now, 20 years old. He has 33-inch arms. This, like I said, this was I was cool. I have plenty of tweets where I was cool with, hey, just take him. If you're going to reach on somebody at 8 just to take an edge, I was cool with taking him or Ezraku at 8. So the fact that we were able to go and get him at 51, chef's kiss. I think this was a teens guy. This was a teens to 20s guy, a mid to late first guy. And I can't believe that he fell all the way to 51, and we'll take it. This was a steal. Like I said, Tet was a slight steal because he was my 3rd or 4th best player on the board. This is a steal getting a guy around later than where he should have went. Almost 2 rounds later than where he should have went. So let's get into the next guy. This is an A+, as you can see. This is a guy that, this guy right here is near and dear to me. Princey Umami Yellen. What can we say? 6'4", 244, 23 years old. He did play 5 years at Florida and then transferred to Ole Miss. 34-inch arms, very long arms. He was edge 8 on my board. This is a, I ain't gonna lie, this probably should be an A. But I'll explain why it's an A minus. 39 tackles, 22 solos, 7 sacks his last year in Florida. Then he transferred this past year, his 5th year, 37 tackles, 19 solos, 10.5 sacks. Edge 8 on my board. This was a mid-second round guy for me, mid to late second round guy. We was able to get him in the 3rd at what, pick 77, something like that. So mid-3rd. Once again, getting a guy around later than where they should have went. The edges did not go in the first like they said they would. This was a very deep class, and a lot of guys got pushed down. So it helped us get BPA by just taking guys later. For me, the reason that this was an A minus, I like the double dip strategy. I've been saying double dip since March, or really since before then, since like January. So I like double dipping, and I like getting Prince Umamiela. I've been a big fan of him. Talked about him a lot on Twitter. I'm going to do a video on him, of course. Really good player, really good bend, really good explosiveness out of his rush. He has good power that's just kind of slept on. I think he needs to work on his technique and maybe show it a little bit more, go to it a little bit more. But he has good power. He's decent against the run. But there was guys on the board that I feel like could have filled a need and been a starter. Now, he might end up being a starter because they're talking about moving to Jadeveon Clowney. If he's a starter, then this goes to an A+. Because once again, this is a steal. Or easily an A at the worst. But right now, he's probably going to be a DPR guy, a rotational guy. And you could have got Xavier Watts at this pick and had a starting free safety, which we still didn't address, and we'll get to that later. So that's the reason why I dropped to an A minus. It would have been a regular A or A plus if this was the 4th round, or it probably would have been an A plus if it was the 4th round. But I still like it. It's still a steal. It has nothing to do with his play. It's just process. When we're talking about grades, we're talking about the process. Who was on the board? What did you do to get here? Did you trade up too much? Did you trade up a little bit and was able to get a steal? All that is factored into it. It's not just, is this guy good? So that's why this is an A minus, but this is a great player. Eventually he's going to be a starter for us, and it could be this year if we move on from Clowney. So I like Prince Umamiela's pick. Let's move on. Now, after riding high the first 2 days, I just knew that we're eventually going to have a misstep because it's just too perfect. Now, the 4th round, this would have been the misstep. We took Trevor Etienne, good player in the 4th round. He's not a bad player. Like I said, this grade has nothing to do, like I said in the past one, this grade doesn't have much to do with his skill set because he is a good player to me. I think he is a good back. But there were other backs on the board that I liked more. A couple of backs on the board, at least 6, 7. But I understand that I was a little harsher on this pick at first, but I understand the fit from what he's going to do. He's going to be our receiving back. He's going to be our pair of hands for Bryce to dump it down and get some explosive plays out of. He ran 4.42 at almost 200 pounds. He's 5'9", 198, 20 years old. I did not have him ranked in my top 10 running backs, so that's why I said NR is not ranked. I only rate top 10 guys for the positions, except for edge. But sophomore year at Florida, he had 131 carries, 753 yards, 8 tutties. Last year at Georgia, 122, 609, 9 tutties. He didn't have much receiving production, but at the Senior Bowl, when I seen him up close, he has a lot of wiggle in his routes. He has a lot of good stop ability in his routes. He's killing linebackers out there. Great pair of hands, very soft hands, and he can make explosive plays with the ball in his hands. So that's going to make him a very good receiving threat. But for me, like I said, it was better guys on the board, and also I don't like, once again, not better guys at his position, but there was guys that could be starters at free safety, a position we needed and still need now, that they passed on for whatever reason you want to call it. We can say, oh, they don't like this guy because of this, da-da-da. Yeah, you can say that, and that could be true. That doesn't mean that it's still okay to pass. Yes, for them, but that doesn't mean you didn't miss out on talent. So, whatever. So this is going to be a C for me. I still think he has a role. He'll play a lot of passing downs. He'll probably make a lot of plays for us. So I couldn't give it an F like I was originally. I was really going to be like, yeah, this is an F or a D because why are we doing this? But I had to, come to my senses a little bit. This is a C at the very least. Yeah, okay pick. First misstep, first non-steal, even though he is a steal on a lot of guys' boards. Just saying, he is still on a lot of guys' boards, but I can only go off what my ranking, not everybody else's. So that's why he's a C. But let's move on. And this was the second misstep. Once again, this grade doesn't have much to do with his play. Because I think he is a good player, Lathan Ransom, that is. 6 foot, 206, 22 years old. Did not make my safety rankings, as y'all see in those that video. He had 34 tackles, 21 solos, 1 interception, and only 2 pass deflections his senior year. And then last year, his 5th year, he had 75 tackles, 46 solos, 1 interception, 1 pass deflection. The beef with me is, one, this guy is for sure going to be a backup unless you move Trayvon Moehrig to free safety, which I hate this pick even more because Trayvon Moehrig did not play good at free safety. He got this bag because they moved him closer to the line and he started making plays again. So you're paying a guy a lot of money and playing him out of position for a guy like Lathan Ransom, who is good, but it's not ideal. Or we can move Moehrig to nickel. If he's our full-time nickel and this guy's play strong safety, okay, I get it a little more. Maybe we can get this to a C- or a C. But coverage ability, he doesn't make plays on the ball. He doesn't have much ball production. He played 5 years, had 3 interceptions, and like maybe less than 10 pass breakups. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. He is a good he is a explosive tackler, highlight, flashy tackler, but he leaves his feet a lot. He has 16 or 18% missed tackle rate, so he can miss tackles here and there. Still a very good athlete. We need that crash out type guy in our defense, but he's probably going to be a backup unless you play the guy we just played out of position or play him at nickel. And like I said, there were still guys on the board. Billy Bowman went before this. That was one of the guys I was talking about for the last pick. But Billy Bowman went before this, but you still had Malachi Moore, who could play free safety. He could play your deep safety. You had Jalen Reed out of Penn State, who could play deep safety. I mean, I talked about it in my safety ranking videos. Both of those guys made that video, and this guy didn't. So yeah, this was the first misstep. I was being generous, giving it a D+ because he's not a bad player completely. So yeah, the 4th round was the misstep. Just simple as that. And I can be honest. We can't be biased about everything. You got to be honest. But let's move on. Luckily, I tweeted out Dan Morgan, hey, I was just kidding about clocking out after day 2. I was just joking on stream and on Twitter. And he clocked back in. So we got our guy Cam Jackson in the 5th round. This was about his range to me. I've been seeing a lot of other consensus boards say that he was a steal. Not a lot. There was a consensus board that said he was a steal, or this little chart I seen. To me, this was about his range. 5th, 6th round, maybe 7th would have been a steal for me. But this is your nose tackle. He's 6'4", 330 pounds. He played at 342 according to ESPN, but he came at the combine 329, so 330. 22 years old. 34-inch arms, almost 35. He did not make my DT rankings, but that's because this class is just nuts, super deep. 32 tackles, 18 solos, no sacks his prior year before this past one. And then 37 tackles, 14 solos, 2 sacks. The thing with me is this is just a dominant guy. His hands are super heavy. He's super violent. He's super athletic. At the Senior Bowl, he was getting in the backfield plenty on run and pass downs. He has pass rushing upside as a nose tackle, and he can also play all over the line. He can play a nose tackle. He can play a 3 technique. Of course, you want to play him inside. He's not like a 5 technique guy that you can move out there, but 3 or nose, it works. 2-eye, 1-0, all of that, it works. So I really like Cam Jackson a lot. This pick restored my faith in what was going on, because after those last 2, I was like, what we doing, man? We back to the old Panthers drafts, but we locked in. So I like Cam Jackson a lot. Let's move on. After this was a guy. Now, mind you, I was working during the draft, so I kind of was mixing up guys. I thought this guy was Jackson Hayes out of Georgia Tech, and I'm like, okay, we took a blocker, cool. It's not. It's Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame. He's also in the 5th. This was a steal for me. He was my tight end 7 or 8 between him and Gunnar Helm. This is the story with Mitchell Evans. His junior year, he had 29 catches, 422 yards, 1 touchdown, not touchdowns, through 7 games. In that 7th game, he got hurt in the 2nd or 3rd quarter, tore his ACL. So with 29 catches in 6 games, or however many catches 6 games, he had 400 yards and a touchdown. He had about 5 more games to go for Notre Dame. So he could have put up monster numbers and got drafted that year. Could have been the next Notre Dame tight end type of guy. But he tore his ACL. So last year, he comes in at the beginning of the year. He's kind of on a snap count, trying to get back into it. I think he played with a knee brace on, but he still was able to put up 43 catches, 421 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He started to cut it on in the playoffs. He had 5 catches and like 40 yards against in the national championship. The game before that, he had like 4 catches for 53 yards. I want to say a touchdown. He was my tight end 8, like I said, 6'5", 258, 22 years old. But for me, what I like the most is he's a yak threat. I've complained a lot about yak on this channel, on Twitter, everywhere else. We needed so much yak, and I talked about it going into day 3. I said, and I talked about it on stream with PNP. I said, yeah, how would y'all feel about getting a tight end, somebody that could be a yak threat? You know, maybe like a Harold Fannin, somebody like that. This is a perfect guy. He's big. He's a good blocker. He can get better, but he is a good blocker. He'll probably be our best blocking tight end between him and Tommy Tremble. But he's also still a receiving threat. And this is an A- because I think there was one guy still on the board. I want to say Peebles will be much higher on my board than him, and I think you just take that guy instead. So this is A- to A. But this probably could be an A+ because it's the fog of war element. Shout out to the franchise guy. You don't know what he could be. Could he, as a fully healthy, full offseason on a rehab knee, working on his craft instead of rehabbing, could he get back to what he was going to be that junior year before he tore his ACL? I mean, it's studies that show that the first year, you're not the same the first year. It's that second year you come back where you get, back to fully percent and hit your stride. So if he could be that, and he could be our starting tight end, he could be a starting tight end. Not saying he'll be a star, nothing like that. Not saying he's going to be a top 10, top 15 tight end. But, I mean, he could be a Cole Kmet. He could be a Hunter Henry, I guess. And if we got that guy in the fifth round, in the late fifth, that's a A+ steal. This and Nick Scorton, if that's the case, will be the biggest steals in our board and in the draft, period. So, shout out to Mitchell Evans. I'm going to do a full video on him for sure, for him single only, and see when I dive into the film, see what I really see from that junior year and what he could be versus, what he was after the ACL. But yeah, let me know if y'all want that video. So let's move on. This is going to be an A-. Last pick of the draft. This was unexpected. This creates competition. And since camp isn't open, we're not going to be able to see it. But Jimmy Horn Jr. out of Colorado. 58 catches, 567 yards, 6 touchdowns his junior year. Last year, senior year, 37 catches, 441 yards, 1 tutty. Not ranked on my top 10 wide receivers, but he's 5'8", 174, 22 years old. This guy is a speed demon. And I've been complaining about getting somebody this speed and shifty and yak. He has shown he can be a yak threat. I've been complaining about this for so long that once we took Ted, I was telling people like, yo, stop being unrealistic. We're not taking another wide receiver. We're not. I know, yeah, it sounds good to get a smaller, shifty, maybe not smaller, but a shiftier, faster guy. It sounds good, but it's not realistic. We only keep 5 receivers. And then they took him. And I'm like, oh, finally. I mean, I was saying this last year. But yeah, temper your expectations. This is a B+ for me because I don't think this was some sort of steal necessarily, maybe. But he was a day 3 guy, a mid to late day 3 guy to me anyway. He didn't make my wide receiver rankings. He wouldn't have been probably top 15, maybe not top 20 either. But you get a speed element. This is a 4.3/4.4 guy. He has punt return chops and he has yak ability. So if somebody goes down, we may not be missing much with him. And he's going to add an explosive element to the offense. But at worst, he's going to be an electric punt returner and kick returner, which is very valuable at this point as your wide receiver 5. Cinema, Dan, you cooked. But let's move on to the final grade for the whole draft. Finally, man, let's talk about it. Overall, for this draft, when I put in the numbers, I think it came up to like 89, 88 overall. But you got to factor in the steals we got. I think we got 4 guys on my board that would be steals in Tet, Princely, Nick Scorton, and Mitchell Evans. All those guys were drafted around, at the worst, around later than what they should have been. Or at least like more than 15, 20 picks than what they should have been at the very least. So to that gives you extra points. That's your extra credit, And you got the 3rd or 4th best guy in this class at 8. That gives you a little extra credit. You got Nick Scorton, who's going to be he's top 3 edge to me at 51. This was a first round guy. I got to give it an extra credit. I'm going to say this is an A draft, not A+, an A draft, because there was a bad round. There was 2 picks that I was like, oh, we could have did better. But if we got B- or C+ on those picks, this would be an A+ draft. I got to be honest. I can't say that this is a perfect draft if I don't like 2 of the guys in the draft. But this is as close as an A+ as you're going to get 2 picks away from being an A+. Maybe even 1. If it was just 1 bad pick, I'm like, yeah, A+ at this point. But 2 guys, you know, got to factor it in. So, dang, you cooked, man, to say the least. But yeah, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Appreciate PNP for letting me on the stream and kicking it with them for almost 10 hours this weekend just from those 2 days. But yeah, so I'll catch y'all later, man. Catch y'all later this week.